Greetings, buddies. I am Vitaly Portnikov. According to the French publication Le Monde, Russian President Vladimir Putin is recognized as the ultimate winner of the war in Gaza, solidifying his position of power and influence in the region. Possibly for certain individuals in the Western region, this depiction of the author of the publication might appear to be somewhat exaggerated. However, it was not the case for me. In the year 2022, immediately following Vladimir Putin's major attack on Ukraine, I authored an article for one of the publications in Israel, specifically for one of the Israeli publications. This text clearly indicates that if the war between Russia and Ukraine does not come to a swift conclusion, the Middle East, specifically Israel, will become the next platform of instability. The repercussions of this prolonged conflict could have far-reaching consequences, exacerbating tensions in an already volatile region. However, during that period, such a viewpoint was perceived as being on the outskirts of mainstream opinion, both in Israel and in the Western countries, including Ukraine and the Middle East, as well as the former Soviet republics. Israel was considered to be one theater of military operations, while Ukraine and the Middle East were seen as another theater. The former Soviet republics and Israel were regarded as two distinct centers of potential instability. Nevertheless, Vladimir Putin adopts a markedly divergent approach when it comes to fostering an atmosphere of instability and uncertainty on the global stage. It could be argued that leaders from Western nations underestimated this approach, even in the midst of the conflict in Syria, which lasted for an extended period of time. Putin utilized this conflict to enhance his diplomatic ties with Iran. In the near future, we will witness the impact of drones, initially used in Russia's war against Ukraine, as a means that changes the very nature of combat operations. This highlights the cooperation between Moscow and Tehran, revealing the evolving dynamics of military strategies. The utilization of drones has proven to be a transformative tool, shaping the course of modern warfare. The cooperation, which was primarily strengthened on the battlefield, emerged as a crucial factor in the conflict in Syria. The US had a preference for negotiating with Russia concerning the situation in Syria and sought to engage in diplomatic discussions. The President of the United States, Barack Obama, was unsuccessful in accurately assessing the intentions of Russian President Vladimir Putin during his tenure in office. Even when Putin decided to occupy and annex Ukrainian Crimea, Washington and other Western capitals failed to grasp that it was part of a systematic effort to destabilize the West. They were unable to understand that the Middle East and Ukraine are not two separate theaters of operations, but interconnected. The decision highlighted the need for a deeper understanding of Putin's intentions and the potential implications for Western security. It underscored the importance of recognizing the broader geopolitical context in which these actions were taking place. We observed the tangible results of Vladimir Putin's activities right after October 7, 2023, which left a lasting impact on the situation. The United States aimed to highlight the link between Russia's actions and its allies in both the Middle East and Ukraine, in an effort to underscore the significance of these connections and their impact on regional dynamics and geopolitical stability. However, in this particular situation, the leaders of Israel and Ukraine were not prepared or willing to acknowledge or recognize the existence of this connection and utilize it for their own respective strategic interests and objectives. It is apparent that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did not actively pursue the opportunity to host Volodymyr Zelensky in Jerusalem in the early days following the commencement of the conflict. The main concern of the Prime Minister of Israel was to deliberately worsen relations with Moscow and reduce the capabilities of Israeli aviation in the skies over Syria, with the aim of significantly impacting the geopolitical dynamics of the region and safeguarding national security interests. Later on, the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, himself did not express any intention to visit Israel during that period of time. Many individuals in Ukraine asserted that a visit of this nature would have a detrimental impact on Ukraine's diplomatic ties with nations in the global south. And as a consequence, the momentous opportunity that was supposed to demonstrate a profound understanding of Russian political ambitions was unfortunately missed and not fully capitalized upon, which is truly regrettable. And then such valuable time was unfortunately missed, resulting in a missed opportunity for providing crucial American assistance to both Ukraine and Israel, two countries in need of support. And the consequences of this procrastination on the battlefield in Ukraine are what we are witnessing and experiencing firsthand these days. The situation pertaining to Israel also appears to be quite complicated. The crisis in the Middle East has the potential to significantly impact the course and outcome of the pre-election campaign in the United States of America. It is evident that despite the fact that in the United States the primary concern for voters is primarily domestic policy issues, the crisis in the Middle East is no longer just a domestic or foreign policy issue. The situation in the Middle East has become a pressing matter that goes beyond national borders, impacting both domestic and foreign policy considerations in the United States and beyond. This is a global security issue for the United States themselves and the Western nations as a whole, posing a significant threat to both. The current situation on university campuses in the United States and European countries is further evidence of the success of Vladimir Putin's propaganda efforts, highlighting the impact of his propaganda on a global scale. At this moment, we are able to affirm that this propaganda success could potentially have a decisive impact on the final outcome of the presidential elections in the United States themselves, which makes it a matter of utmost importance and significance. We have a thorough understanding that Vladimir Putin is not interested in having the incumbent president win these elections. Therefore, it becomes apparent that direct interference in the elections is not feasible. However, one can create a political situation that will effectively influence the moods and attitudes of American voters. This underscores the significance of shaping public opinion as a means to indirectly impact the outcome of the elections. Is it not possible to consider this as a success for Vladimir Putin in the war in Gaza, given his involvement and influence? Is it not possible for us to observe that the production of chaos and crises by the Russian president helps in strengthening Russia's role not only in the Middle East, but also in Europe and the United States, thereby increasing its influence on a global scale? And in the event that the danger is not adequately assessed and appropriately resolved, we could potentially face a multitude of serious problems in the near future that may have far-reaching consequences for us, our surroundings, and the overall stability of our situation. It is clearly evident that the positions of Russia in the region will significantly strengthen if viable solutions to the problems that facilitated Moscow's involvement in the Middle Eastern crisis are not found, thus vividly demonstrating the deep dependence of the West on the prevailing chaos and violence that both the leadership of the Russian Federation and the leadership of Iran are keenly interested in, underscoring the urgent need for finding effective resolutions to these pressing issues for the sake of regional stability and global security. However, unless the Western countries fully comprehend and acknowledge that there are no distinct and separate theaters of war or isolated centers of instability, in simple terms, they must understand that we are facing a singular, interconnected global war that can erupt in different areas and regions around the world. In this unified conflict, Vladimir Putin will continue to emerge as the ultimate winner in all the conflicts he actively supports and helps to develop, exerting his influence across various regions and shaping the outcome of these conflicts in his favor. Thanks. Stay on this channel. Subscribe and follow MonoBank Coffee's social media channels, which help spread resources. Use the sponsorship feature in the world's largest YouTube.